Did we get a request from Lucy Solano?
Yeah, but she's in.
Is there a way for you to respond to her?
George, we're live.
Are we live?
Okay, we can go now, George.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our board meeting of September 22nd. And at this time, we go to item number 3 on our agenda, which deals with general matters. And so we will go to item 3.01, which is our flag salute. And I think today I'm going to reach out to our cabinet members. Annette, I don't think you've done a flag salute. Can you lead us in the flag salute today? I know you've done it before. We're all taking turns once more.
Certainly.
Okay, please, everyone stand for the flag salute at this time.
I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
to the
to the
flag
flag
of the
of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and
and
justice
justice
for all.
for all.
Thank you, Annette.
Mhm.
That was very nice. Okay, this time, let's go on to item 3.02, which is to disapprove the additions to the agenda. If none, we will jump on to 3.03 to approve, disapprove order of the agenda. If none, then we'll go on to 3.04, report of action taken in closed session. So I'll have our superintendent report that action out. Superintendent.
Yes, thank you. The board, a 4-0 vote, approved the September 8th, 2020 minutes. There are no other actions to report.
All right, thank you, Superintendent. With that, we move on to item number 4 on our agenda, and that deals with a public hearing. And today we're going to have 4.01, public hearing on sufficiency and insufficiency of materials. Did you want Norma to do that, Superintendent?
Yes, please.
Sure.
Norma, thank you.
I'm just checking. Can everyone hear me? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. So
hear
this is annually, we are required by the California Education Code 60119 to present to have a public hearing in our school district regarding the sufficiency of instructional materials and textbooks. What that means is that we want to ensure that all students have their required textbooks, their core curriculum. And so annually we have a public hearing to see if there's community who would like to speak regarding this, this topic.
So at this time, we open the hearing up to anyone who might want to address us on item 4.01. Again, we begin our public hearing on sufficiency and insufficiency of materials.
And Board President, just so you know that there were no requests to speak on this.
Okay, Nora, thank you. Thank you, Superintendent. Well, we haven't seen anybody come forward, so at this time, I'll close the public hearing on the sufficiency and insufficiency of materials. All right, thank you. We go on to item number 5, oral communications. And again, members of the public may address the board on any issue within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board or agenda items. Members of the public may also address the board on consent items before the board's consideration of the items in accordance with Board Bylaw 9323. Individual remarks will be limited to 3 minutes each unless otherwise stipulated. No action can be taken on any agenda item at this time. Questions may be referred to the administration or put on a future agenda. So with that, we go on to 5.01, which deals with oral communications. And Superintendent, do we have anyone that wants to address us this evening?
Not under this item.
None. Oh, okay. All right. So, okay. So then we will go on to item number 6, which deals with information, discussion, and or action items. So we will go to item 6.01, which deals with the facilities update presentation. Superintendent.
Good evening, everybody. This is Gabriel Altamirano. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm the Director of Maintenance and Auxiliary Services. I wanted to provide the board an update on some of the summer projects, as well as a little bit of a looking ahead as we move into the fall and more into the planning stage as we finish Measure H and move to Measure R. Next slide. This summer, we had a lot of work done at a lot of our sites. It was also a transition between the previous director and myself. Luckily, Veronica left us in very good hands. This summer, we completed the kinder shade structure installation at a number of sites: Dahl, Franklin, Hellier, Kennedy, Los Arboles, and Shirakawa. The next project that completed was the Franklin filled turf installation. At Franklin, we also did an asphalt walkway from Baltic Avenue down the side of the property leading to campus. Dahl site fencing was completed. Over in the transportation yard at Franklin, we completed the EV buses and charging stations. And we have completed the Wool Creek Road fencing. And we've completed some of the repairs along that fencing. And there's some pictures in the next few slides. Stonegate portable restroom renovation was also completed. Kind of a small little project, but it finished up nicely. Next. Here are a few pictures of the shade structures that were installed. To the left is Franklin. To the upright is Dahl. And to the bottom right is Shirakawa. Next. Great improvement over at Franklin. We installed this wonderful turf with a soccer field lines embedded in the field. A few hiccups along the way dealing with the recycled water, but we were able to close the loop on that and get this project completed. So it looks nice, bright, shiny, and green. Next. Here's the walkway. So to the left was the before picture. It was a decomposed granite walkway with some benches and very overgrown. To the right, a part of the project, we wanted to clean and scrape all the old weeds, bushes, overgrown shrubs, and decomposed granite out of the site. We put this brand new compliant asphalt walkway that leads to the back of the property. So now we're left with a little bit of a field issue. We did receive quotes to install or extend the field and the lawn area. However, the pricing on that was out of budget at this time. So we're evaluating what we can do with this space for the interim. We will most likely add wood chips to this area to help with the weeds and dust control until we can kind of allocate funds to make this space usable or provide another source or provide another use of this space. Next slide. Here are all our...
Gabriel, if you could just a second.
Sure.
So board, this is the area that was a joint use with our neighbors, and the walkway that leads to the back area of that neighborhood. And this is the access point for many of our students that live in that back area into Franklin.
Right.
Our EV buses have arrived. So they're bright and shiny. The EV buses have blue bumpers and blue wheels. They also make a light tune as they drive down the streets so people can hear them and know that they're coming. They do not offer ice cream though. The charge stations, these new V charge stations to the right. This is how we can charge the buses as well as monitor their charging capacities, levels, as well as program for them to charge during off-peak hours to keep costs down. Next slide. So some work in progress. As I mentioned, Wool Creek Road, there's still more to do back there, unfortunately. I'll show you the picture and I can explain further. Windmill portable installation, we started that project about early July, and we're still in construction at this time. The district service center restroom is currently in progress, as well as the Sylvandale window replacement phase. Next slide. Phase 1, sorry. So along Wool Creek Road, we've unfortunately had many transients using the fire hydrants, and through the course of leaving those fire hydrants open, the water has literally eroded the street, the curb and gutter, as well as our fence and the footings for the fence. This is directly behind Shirakawa. There's also the hillside that got eroded and kind of fell and crept down into the creek. This was deemed an emergency repair and a major safety hazard. So we completed the repairs for the curb and gutter, as you can see. The fence is in fabrication and is pending installation. Currently, I'm working with our Juan Cruz and my department. We're working with the city, with Maya Esparza, to discuss maintenance of this road, the cost, and possibly reimbursement of this project that we had to undertake. I'm also talking with the city in regards to the fire hydrants. There are 4 fire hydrants along Wool Creek Road. 2 of them have caused issues where we had to address curb and gutter issues with the road. And the others are not too far behind. So I'm currently seeking permission to valve off the fire hydrants. Should there be a fire, fire departments will roll through. They will have to use their key, and it's a 8-foot vault in below the asphalt, and they could turn the fire hydrant back on, just to avoid future repairs. I also want to note that this fire hydrant that we're looking at flooded the entire kinder wing of Shirakawa classrooms. Next slide. This is the Windmill portables installation. We've added 3 portables to the site, as well as a restroom facility. So you can see a quick little pictures of the before. Excuse me. The foundation system. Included in this project, we're also regrading the field, and we're adding a decomposed granite asphalt mixture below the solar arrays. Below the solar arrays doesn't get a lot of sun, and so it's prone to muddy, kind of flooded areas. That sort of makes a mess. Excuse me. Next, next slide. I'm sorry, 1 second, please. Excuse me. This is the district service restroom. We are currently tiling the restroom now. So work has been progressing well. We're currently looking at the business service restroom on the 1st floor. To the left, it's the men's and women's restroom. We've also been able to kind of find a little nook inside of the restroom that we can use for a small pantry or custodial closet. So they could store some of their paper products within there as kind of a bonus space that I was very excited to share with our custodial staff. We've also converted the custodial closet into a single-use restroom or gender-neutral restroom. This restroom will also have a changing table for families to use. This is going to wrap up at the end of the month, and we will begin phase 2, which will entail the atrium restrooms, both first floor and second floor. Next slide. Silverdale, work in progress. It has been ongoing. Just to give you a little background, the window replacement was found to be a window replacement, like for like, taking out the old window, putting in a new window. However, it was flagged by DSA field tech engineer, and it brought in a lot of additional reviews. So that is why there's been such a delay on the window phase 1 completion. On more up-to-date numbers, the DSA review has completed the fire, life, and safety review, as well as the structural review. So we're hoping within the next 2 weeks, we'll have complete sign-off on phase 1, and then we can remobilize the contractor. The contractor has been very good and understanding of this kind of hiccup, and they're ready to start by mid-October and hopefully complete by the end of December. So that kind of updates our schedule to the right. I'm hoping to beat these dates and start phase 2 a lot sooner than the proposed March date. Phase 2 window, we're going through the formal DSA process and review to replace the windows. We had to close out a legacy project, which is an older project that wasn't properly closed out through DSA. We're nearing completion on that, and hopefully we'll DSA will perform the back check and supply us with any comments, and we can respond to them accordingly. I also have Mike Bowers on the call with us today. So if there are additional questions, please feel free to stop me. Mike Bowers is with Sycamore Finney Architects, and he can help answer any more questions you may have. Next slide. This is the bond measure H current funding or budget. So as you see, we have a remaining balance of about 9 million. About 8.5 of that is allocated to current projects, with some ongoing charges for energy conservation and so forth. Next slide. So as I mentioned, Measure H funded projects, we are holding 3.9 for the Stonegate HVAC upgrades. That was bid out to complete this summer, but due to the pandemic, the carrier HVAC units were not available. So we had to postpone that project entirely. We are getting ready to rebid that project for this coming summer. As I mentioned, Silverdale window phase 1 and 2. We also have been holding some money in Measure H for Los Arboles field and lot improvements, as well as the walkway improvements. Both those projects are in review. We have not started design. Measure R funded projects. This is a continuation of Measure H to close out Measure H. We have a Kennedy admin redesign. We're currently in the rough stages of that design process, evaluating the site needs and putting together some rough drawings. The McKinley admin redesign, the playground parking lot asphalt repairs, the Shirakawa parking and fencing. The fencing portion has been completed, with some repairs still needed. But the next part of this project is the parking. Finally, the under solar beautification. This is pending the result of the Windmill decomposed granite asphalt that we're testing out there. It's a new product, and we want to see how it holds up, how it looks, how it performs, and if that's going to become our standard for the other under solar canopies. Finally, we're looking to paint schools next summer. We have quite a few schools, which we're all very excited about. Dahl, Hellier, Kennedy, Meadows, Ramblewood, Shirakawa, and Stonegate. Looking ahead, SFA, our district architect, has provided a facility needs assessment. So I will be evaluating that needs assessment and putting together a new 5-year master plan. There we can discuss it with the board and Juan to set a new priority list as we get ready to start Measure R. Next slide. That concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. As I said, Mike Bowers with SFA is also on the call or on the Zoom session.
Thank you, Gabriel, for that great presentation. It's really good to see the update on all the projects in terms of what's going on, and look at the pictures. And glad to see everything is that's taking place. You know, and particularly one school, Franklin. I kind of like the feel that you put there, the turf feel. I've been there several times, and so it's good that we finally got that off the ground. That's great news. You know, thank you for that. Board members, questions, comments that you might have at this time?
I have a couple.
Yeah, go ahead, Rudy.
Okay. Okay. Hi, Gabriel. On slide 5, the walkway, I noticed it was really cleaned up a lot. Were any trees taken out? Because I noticed quite a barren area on the other side of the fence.
So throughout this project, we wanted to preserve as many of the trees as possible. Towards the very back of the property, it appears that maybe 4 to 5 newer trees were planted. However, they were all maintained, saved off, and kept in place. Those trees are younger, but they're mature, and so we believe that they'll be able to kind of continue to grow and blossom. However, there is still more work to be done in this area, as the picture shows. To the very back of the property, near the entrance gate, there's a large, about 50-foot tall oak tree that is dead. We are looking to get quotes to cut that tree down entirely, including grinding the stump. Limbs have fallen off that tree before, and we want to avoid any future issues. There's also a tree towards the front of the walkway, closest to the Franklin School site, that will also need to be trimmed and possibly cut down. Again, these are very old trees, and it's very apparent that they're dead, and they need to go.
Okay. So how many trees were removed?
0.
Okay. It just kind of deceiving, I guess, because of the angle of the photo. Okay. Okay. So then on the other, I guess it's slide 8, the Wool Creek repairs to the fence. You mentioned that the fire hydrants leaked or flooded the school and did some damage to a few of our classrooms. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Now those fire hydrants are owned by the city, right?
Correct.
Did we send the city the bill? I mean, I'm kind of not being facetious, but the damage was done by the fire hydrants, and they're responsible for those.
Yeah, so I reached out to Maya, and apparently, actually the city doesn't own those. It is the water district, and so Maya was able to connect us with the representatives from the water district, and we will be billing the water district for all the repairs,
including the classrooms.
All the repairs related to the damage.
Have they accepted responsibility for it?
Not to my knowledge yet, but we will continue to pursue reimbursement.
Okay, would you let us know what occurs from that? Because that's pretty expensive cost to our district.
Absolutely.
And that includes the fence, and it looks like the pavement and the curb repairs that we did, from what I'm seeing as well.
Correct.
So what was the total cost on that, Gabriel?
The road repairs came into about $18,000. The fence repairs were about $8,000. For the interior of the classrooms, I'd have to get the numbers. I believe is our in-house team, our custodial staff spent maybe a day and a half cleaning all the carpet and extracting that water. I don't believe we brought another contractor in for that. I'd have to get the data from our maintenance division.
But the labor cost for it should be added to the cost to the remediation of the water. And did it
Absolutely.
cause any mold damage?
No, it did not. We caught it in time.
Okay. And did we have to replace the carpet, or do we just dry it out?
No, we were able to extract the water fully and put fans on it.
Oh,
to dry
okay.
it out.
All right. Well, it looks like it's about a $40,000 bill that the water district should be paying for. And I'm only speculating and guessing based on the numbers that you guys provided. Okay. Thank you.
So just to add, and I think Gabriel mentioned it, we're working with them obviously on the repair, but also working with them on a longer solution because this continues to be a problem, especially during the summer when those fire hydrants are open and left open. So part of that is getting the reimbursement, and the other one is to find a more permanent solution.
Okay. Yeah. And that just brought up that another question that I was thinking. Okay. So we're going to cap them. And then if the fire department comes out due to an emergency and they need to use the fire hydrants, they are required to use a certain tool or key to uncap them so that they can use. Has the fire department agreed with that arrangement?
No, we can't do any of that until we work with the water district and get that done. We can't do it ourselves.
So really, that's kind of the water district's responsibility, not ours.
Right. That's what we're asking from them. Initially, we just wanted them gone, but obviously, that's not going to be something that the water district and the fire department want to do, especially since they are always having to use those fire hydrants to put out the fires out in the creek, just like they did yesterday. So I understand why they need them. It's just causing problems. So we want to find a solution that keeps water out there for the fire department, but also does not create any more issues and damages to our property.
Yeah, I have a feeling the fire department is not going to want to have to do extra work to use those hydrants. They're going to want to just hook their hose and put out whatever fires are there. So, but I don't know. I'm not a fireman. So, all right. Thanks, Gabriel.
Thank you.
Other board members, go ahead and ask questions if you have it this time.
I just have two questions.
Yes, go ahead, Karen.
One regarding the kinder coverings. With these completions, is it safe to say that all 16 schools have kinder shading at this point?
I believe that was the goal of the project. Mike, can you confirm that for me, please?
Hello, members of the board. This is Mike Bowers. Or say Mark Finney. Yes, this completed the last of the sites that did not have some sort of shade protection over the play structures themselves for all kindergarten sites.
Okay. The other question was on slide 13 under Measure R, funded. The third point, playgrounds and parking lot asphalt repairs. In which schools in specific?
This is going to be a district-wide project. As we're currently evaluating and walking the sites to see what can be repaired and what absolutely has to be replaced.
Okay. Those were the only questions I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maimona, did you have any questions at this time?
I did. It was actually on this slide. I think it was just the overview that was the last slide of the presentation. I'm not sure if it actually went over it during the presentation itself, but it's the slide that talks about the Measure H priority list. I believe it's slide 16. My question was, in terms of the Columbine locks, what is the status of those? I know it says in progress, but do we have an estimate on when we're looking at for those to be completed?
Yes, this is a very large project that we undertook as our district maintenance staff. A lot of our sites are near completion. However, it seems there's one or two closets that are not key to the new master. And so I can't confidently say Franklin is 100% because I know there's 4 restrooms that still need to be changed over. However, most of the classrooms across the district have received the Columbine or the intruder style lock, so teachers can lock their classrooms from the inside. We're currently key checking all the campuses to confirm our data and our reports are accurate. Once we complete the key checks, that'll kind of give us a greater map of the duration needed to complete the project. My goal is to have it completed by the new year.
Okay, yeah, because I know that was one of our, I mean, it's listed as one of our top priorities, but I know also in the board discussion, that was one of our top priorities. So it would be great to get that update to the board as well once the Columbine locks are completed fully. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Tom, did you have any questions?
Yeah, can we go to slide 12? I want to talk about the Measure H bond funds. Okay, so these are the, well, yeah, they're up-to-date numbers. So what happens with the remaining balance, Gabriel? What do we do with that?
So the remaining balance will be accounted for towards the current projects or the new future projects. It'll kind of be rolled over into new projects that we set for the year. We still have to close out a number of these projects. So although that $9 million looks very appealing, a lot of that money's already been accounted for. Okay. There's a greater breakdown by site of how that money has been allocated. And so we're hoping to roll over maybe about $10,000 to $15,000 into like the start of Measure R. But we're also looking to kind of close out, or I'm looking to close out some of these smaller projects for the site, some trip hazards, moving some receptacles for the secretaries. So every penny will be used, and we're evaluating what needs to be done and the priority of that.
Great. So in the future, if we can get that list just sent separately.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. That's all I have, George.
Okay, thank you. And I just have a quick question. And maybe this is not even for you, Gabriel, but we've got a sizable number of people, homeless population down there, Chiricahua School down there on the creek. Is that pretty much the same? I mean, I haven't been down there for a little while, but has there been any change down there that you've seen, or?
I can address that, Gabriel.
Please.
Actually, we have seen a change the other way, George.
Good. I mean, good way, right?
Huh?
In a good way, right? I mean,
no, not in a good way.
Oh, no. Oh,
not in a good way. I have been in constant communication with city, and I understand their dilemma in that all the abatement has stalled during COVID, and so as a result of that, it has gotten worse. It is really, really bad. I mean, there is imagine sort of a smaller version of the jungle right now is what is in that space right now. We've had a number of fires. In fact, yesterday, while I was finishing a interview with NBC, smoke started to come out, and we went around, and there was this huge fire.
Wow.
With sort of small explosions coming out of that area. Wow. And it is just a mess. It is very, very, very bad right now.
Not good.
I mean, the only thing that the fence has helped is to alleviate some of the traffic that happened all day long around that road.
Correct.
So students were here, they wouldn't see as much of it.
Right.
But it is still a really, really big problem for us with the activity that is happening down there.
And the RVs, are they still lining the road there? The RVs, are they?
Yep.
They're still there. Okay.
They keep increasing by the day.
Well, it'd be nice to address those issues. And I know it's very, very difficult by the time the kids get back, once we have our hundreds of kids at that school, which we know is one of the biggest schools in our district, population wise. So it would be nice to address that, but we know it's a somewhat difficult task at this time. Anyway, thank you for that update. And if there's not anything else, board members, we want to thank Gabriel and your team, Mike, and everybody else who's working on these projects, and keep up the great work. Thank you once more.
Thank you.
Okay, so at this time, let's move on to item 6.02, 2020-21, approval of the learning continuity and attendance plan. Superintendent, you want Norma to address that? Norma?
Yes.
My pleasure. So yes, on September the 8th, I presented to the board an overview of the contents of the learning continuity and attendance plan, where each district is required to outline for the board and for the community our plans for either in-person, well, for in-person and distance learning. It needs to be a comprehensive plan that addresses the needs of our foster youth, our students from free and reduced lunch, our English learners, as well as all our student groups that are represented in our district. So I presented that information a few weeks ago, and the board, each board of every school district is being asked to approve the plan, which will be posted on our website for the community. It's posted right now on our website in the 3 languages, and it will be reviewed by the county office. It already has been reviewed. Ours in specific has been reviewed, but it will be reviewed after, and then it will be sent to the state. The follow-up to this, just for your information, will be in December. We are required to share the budget for our parents based on the LCAP from last year. So we will have to share our activities and our budget and expenses from last year, and it will have to be aligned to this LCP. So I'm requesting that the board approve our learning continuity and attendance plan for 2021.
Thank you, Norma. Board members, do you have questions for Norma at this time regarding the learning continuity and attendance plan? Please ask.
Well, George, we already asked the question, so I'll move to approve the learning continuity and attendance plan for 2020-21.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion, a second to approve the learning continuity and attendance plan. And let me take roll call as we do with this type of meetings. Carrie?
Aye.
Rudy?
Yes.
Maimona?
Aye.
Tan?
Aye.
And George, and I vote aye too. So that passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go on to item number 7. Consent items. This is consent items under $25,000. And again, the public can address us on any of these items listed below in accordance with bylaws 9323, and that remarks will be limited to 3 minutes each unless otherwise stipulated. Superintendent, do we have anybody who signed up to address us on these issues?
No, no one.
Okay, all right. So let's go on through the consent item. We have 7.01, 7.02, 7.03. Is there anybody that wants to pull one of these, board members? If not, then I'll need a.
I'd like to pull item 7.03.
Okay, so we'll pull item 7.03. Okay.
So I move to approve consent item 7.01 and 7.02.
Second.
Okay, so we have a first and a second to approve consent item 7.01 and 7.02. So we'll do a roll call once more. Carrie?
Aye.
Rudy?
Yes.
Maimona?
Aye.
Tan?
Aye.
And George, and I vote aye. So those two pass. 7.01, 7.02. And 7.03 is an action item now. Okay, let's go on to consent items 8. Item 8, over $25,000. And again, the public can address us on any of these items, and the remarks will be limited to 3 minutes each unless otherwise stipulated. So we have items 8.01 through 8.09. Board members, take a look at those and let me know if there's any that you may wish to pull at this time.
I'd like to pull item 8.06.
8.06, okay. Pull that one. Okay, so that will become an action item.
And I'll move to approve items 8.01 through 8.05 and 8.07 through 8.09.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve items 8.01 through 8.05 and 8.07 through 8.09. So again, we'll do a roll call on these, and I'll start with Carrie,
Aye.
Rudy,
Yes.
Maimona,
Aye.
Tan,
Aye.
and George, and I vote aye. So those other items are approved except item 8.06. Okay, let's go on to item number 9. These are construction items. And again, the board has an opportunity to address us on these items before we take action. And they have 3 minutes unless otherwise stipulated. So let's go on. Let's go to item 9.01, ratification of the bid number 2020-679 for the grading and paving of Franklin Elementary School walkway replacement to Tri-Valley Excavating Company. Does anybody have a question on that? If not, I'll need a motion, a second to approve this.
Move to approve item 9.01.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion, a second to approve item 9.01 under construction items. And we'll take a roll call. Carrie,
Aye.
Rudy,
Yes.
Maimona,
Aye.
Tan,
Aye.
and George, and I also vote aye. So item 9.01 passes unanimously. Okay, at this point, we jump to item number 10. These are action items. So we will go to 10.01, which deals with the personnel report. We'll have our vice president read that out.
Yes, thank you, President Sanchez. I move that the personnel report be approved as submitted and that A, the employment for the following employee be approved. Silvio A. Dima, Network Systems Technician, IT, effective October 1st, 2020.
Second.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second item, 10.01, our personnel report. So let's do a roll call on this. Carrie,
Aye.
Rudy,
Yes.
Maimona,
Aye.
Tan,
Aye.
and George, and I also vote aye. So that item passes unanimously. Okay, let's go on to item 10.02. This is the September 8th, 2020 board meeting minutes. So if you can take a quick look at that, and I'll need a motion, a second to approve those minutes of September the 8th.
Move to approve action item 10.02, the September 8th, 2020 board meeting minutes.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion, a second to approve action item 10.02, and let's do a roll call. Board member Carrie,
Aye.
Rudy,
Yes.
Maimona,
Aye.
Tan,
Aye.
and George, and I also vote aye. So that item passes unanimously. Okay, let's go on to item 10.03. And 10.03 deals with a provisional intern permit. Who do we want? Annette, do you want to do that one?
Certainly.
Yes.
This is a request, yes, to approve a provisional intern permit for facilitating the certification of an additional RSP teacher for Bridges and Franklin schools. After the school year, the caseloads for both of those sites were very, very high, which caused us to have to hire an additional RSP teacher. The teacher that we chose had difficulty due to the pandemic and cancellation of several tests that were needed by the CTC. So we're requesting that the board approve a provisional intern permit for him while he continues his studies to complete his credential this school year.
Okay, great. It's good. Good that we able to get somebody in there. Wonderful. Any questions, board members, regarding this item? If not, I'll need a motion in a second, item 10.03.
Move to approve item 10.03.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve item 10.03. And we'll take the roll call. Carrie,
Aye.
Rudy,
Yes.
Maimona,
Hi.
Han,
Aye.
and George. And I vote aye too, so that passes unanimously. Okay, thank you. Let's go on to item 10.04. Reporting in delegating authority to take the necessary action to protect students and staff from the spread of coronavirus, COVID-19. So we'll move this give this to the superintendent. Superintendent.
Yes, thank you. This is the agenda item that the board requested that be agendized so that I can report out in any action that I've taken that the board authorized me to take in an emergency action. The only thing that I will report is that I have authorized under this provision the purchase of the hotspots and computer devices as a way to expedite the orders and trying to make sure that our students have everything they need in order to participate in distance learning. Other than that, there are no other actions that I've taken. I do want to report at this point that we have enough devices now in hand, both hotspots and Chromebooks, where I can say that every student that did not have a hotspot or internet connection or a device, we have enough to be able to meet that demand. We're still waiting for a couple of shipments where it will allow for us to have a one-to-one FMSD device in the hands of every student. But every student that needs one can have one. And then just yesterday, I learned from the city that we are due to get another 1,000 hotspots in the next couple of weeks through the digital inclusion program that they're funding. The number of so we have 3 different vendors so as to try and make sure that every student has the best access. As we know, some vendors, Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T, depending on the vendor, on the carrier, there's some dead spots. So having the 3 vendors allows for us to provide the best connectivity to our students that we can. So we're happy that we're able to now do that, and looking forward to receiving additional devices from the city. As we know, some of them break down. We have had some students that have lost them, and so having some on hand to replace those will be helpful. I'm open to any questions that the board may have.
Thank you, Superintendent. Any questions, board members, for the superintendent? Please ask at this time.
Board President, I forgot. I did have Scott that signed up for comments on 10.04.
Okay.
10.4. Do you want to do that first, or do you want to ask questions?
Let's go and do that first. Let's go ahead and have Scott give us the give us his summary. Scott, go ahead.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you.
Great. I wanted to speak to this item. The range of concern around COVID in our district is varied. Not everyone is highly concerned, but I think it makes sense to create an environment that is safe for our most vulnerable community members. As positive COVID reports have started to come in, there has been a request that this data be shared district-wide so that we all have an accurate understanding of the situation in our Franklin-McKinley community. Another request is for the district to communicate the rules that dictate the length of a school closure after a positive COVID test. Lastly, there continues to be concern regarding Coral's use of schools. It's understood that Coral is a resource for our students and families, but it should be noted that students at Coral are not always in the places they are supposed to be in. At times, these students are wandering our schools unsupervised. For Coral to be safe, there needs to be more care that Coral students are acting safely and are in the location they are supposed to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Okay, board members, did you have any questions at this point for the superintendent on 10.04?
I I did. It's regarding what support's being given to parents to better support their students with distance learning, maybe learning how to navigate the different programs that you're using and other resources.
Yeah, so we work closely with Catholic Charities, who is the CBO funded by the digital inclusion through the city, and they've been providing in-person trainings at Santee at Dahl to help with those families that absolutely need the basic information in terms of how to even just connect, how to turn it on, something that you wouldn't be able to do virtually because that's just not possible. So they've been holding those, and that information's been provided to all parents throughout the district. They're also providing training virtually in regards to how to utilize the platforms we have, Seesaw, Google Classroom, those kinds of things. And then thirdly, training on just how to support students during distance learning. Talking to them about, what place in their house is the most appropriate for them to log in and those kinds of things. So those are the 3 tiers of training that we are providing. Along those lines, we also have tech mentors at each of our schools that are helping with just, some technical issues, that may come up in terms of logging in, those kinds of things. And then those get escalated to the IT department if it is a true tech issue, like, the computer is just not working properly, those kinds of things. And so those are the sort of the ways that we're triaging those issues.
And that's available throughout all 16 schools. So, okay.
Each school has a minimum of 2 tech mentors.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions, board members?
I had a quick clarifying question. So Superintendent Cruz, when you said that you had delegated the action to purchase the devices and the hotspots, does that include the item that's before the board tonight?
Yes, that's why it says ratification.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I just have one quick question, Superintendent. In terms of families, that sometimes are struggling to make sure the equipment is working and so on. And do we have anybody that can go up there physically, or is that not possible? I mean, is that a possibility when the family is at their wits' end and they really can't get this device to work for whatever reason? Is that a possibility or not?
Yeah, so the way the flow is that the parent first contacts the classroom teacher, because in some cases the classroom teacher can easily reset the password, those kinds of things.
Right.
If the classroom teacher is unable to fix whatever the issue may be, it gets escalated to the tech mentor, and IT has worked with the tech mentors on a greater understanding of the systems and all those things. And so if they are not able to fix the issue, then it gets elevated to an IT ticket that the IT department will contact the family, try to do it remotely. If not, they will be able to come in to our office and get in-person support if that's the last resort.
Okay. Oh, that's good to hear, because I'm sure that's
most of the time
with thousands of families we have.
Yeah, most of the time is an issue with just log in. The student forgot their password or things like that. And in some cases, it is an equipment issue, and so we're swapping out equipment that is not working anymore.
Correct. Okay, thank you for that. Anything else, board members, regarding this item?
Just a quick question, follow-up. So this process has been clearly communicated to both staff and parents, so they know what to do if they encounter those situations?
Yes, it's been communicated with staff, and we have communicated with parents that any concerns they have, their classroom teacher is the first one to go to. And then that's how then they get additional support. We'll continue to communicate that. Obviously, the more communication we send out, the easier it is. So we'll continue to make sure that everybody understands what that level of support that is out there. I'll be meeting with Catholic Charities this week to also provide them the list of all the students that got a hotspot and a device, because that's our next step in terms of reaching out to them. Because in most cases, if they didn't have a hotspot and a device, chances are that the digital literacy of that family is something that is maybe of concern. So waiting for them, instead of waiting for them to reach out to us, we're going to be reaching out to them. And so I just had the list downloaded from Infinite Campus this morning so that we can use that list with Catholic Charities to reach out to families.
Hey, Juan, I do know that unless we had robots, our teachers were robots, we could program them all to have the same level of competency with technology. They're all human, and so we are going to have some teachers that are going to be having a little more challenges than others. So I have heard several very good stories of how the responsiveness in regards to technology has been. So kudos to our technology area that has been there to help the teachers and students with their challenges, because I know it's been a challenge. This is completely new to schools, and we just need to all exercise a little patience and understanding, and just be there to help each other, because we are one school district.
Yeah, no, our IT department has been awesome to turn around and do what they've done. So, up to this point, while not perfect, nothing is ever perfect. They have been working tirelessly since March when we closed to address a lot of these concerns, and the infrastructure. Luckily, this district, this board, invested quite a bit on our infrastructure. Before this, that made it a little bit easier for us to respond, but certainly the support that we've been getting from the board and just allowing us to move forward with the purchases of these things so it didn't get delayed was important as well. And then the city and the county, they've been stepping up. I know that Vice President S. Alberta has been part of that movement, and I can say that without that support initially, we wouldn't be where we're at in regards to helping students connect and families connect through distance learning as well.
Any other questions, board members? So I guess we'll go ahead and vote on this item too, Superintendent. Since
What was that?
we'll vote on this item also. Or
No, this is just an information item.
Okay, real good. Okay, all right. Well, thank you very much for that update on all those things taking place. Let's go on to 10.05, resolution number 2020-53, adopting a conflict of interest code. Who wants to do that one?
Yeah, so I'll address that. Normally Jason would address that. That comes out of
Yes,
department. So this is just every 2 years we have to review our conflict of interest policy, and so you have it there in front of you with just some minor changes in regards to the law. But this is needs to be brought to the board every 2 years for approval, and obviously then we follow all the guidelines as it relates to the Form 700 and all those things to avoid any conflict of interest.
Correct. Okay. Any questions on this, board members? If not, I'll need a motion and a second.
Move to approve resolution 2020-53.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second on item 10.05. So let's go ahead and do a roll call. Carrie,
Aye.
Rudy,
Yes.
Maimona,
Aye.
Ton,
Aye.
and George, and I vote aye too. So that passes unanimously. Let's go on to item 10.06, resolution number 2020-54, sufficiency and insufficiency of materials for the 2020-21 school year.
So a little earlier today, we had a public hearing.
Yes.
And this is now a formal resolution that I bring to the board for their respectful consideration and approval. Every school site and every student has access to their textbooks. I'm glad to hear that every student will have an FMSD device very soon, but If students didn't have a device, they had access to textbooks. So either way, the textbooks have been available digitally or received the textbooks. Every school site organized textbook pickup. They worked very hard to distribute the textbooks. They're all accounted for in our own Destiny system. The LMAs were amazing to work so quickly and to organize all of these materials. You can only imagine how challenging that was to organize a bundle of textbooks for every student in the district. And so I bring this resolution to you for your approval and to be assured that every student, that we have enough textbooks and every student has access to their textbooks.
Well, thank you, Norma, for that information. Thank you very much. Board members, do you have any questions for Norma at this time? If not, I'll need a motion, a second, item 10.06.
Move to approve item 10.06.
Second.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve item 10.06. Let's do roll call. Carrie,
Aye.
Rudy,
Yes.
Maimona,
Aye.
Ton,
Aye.
and George, and I vote aye. So that item passes unanimously. Let's go on to item 10.07, resolution number 2020-55, Disability Awareness Month. And who's going to do this, Superintendent?
I'll defer to Vice President Nessa Alberta. She brought
Okay, very good.
the resolution forward, so I will let her introduce it.
Thank you. I know Board Member Rosado has also submitted this in the past, so I'll make sure that she has an opportunity also to speak on this. But this is also Disability Awareness Month in general is very near and dear to my heart as a special education teacher. And I think it just really gives us an opportunity to increase our awareness on our students and the fact that their abilities come in all different forms, and increasing our awareness in understanding what those abilities are and what those strengths are, those talents, and approaching them from a growth mindset. So instead of thinking that the student needs to fit in this box and, why are they doing all these behaviors or other things that don't fit in the box of what we think is, the perfect or ideal student, this gives us an opportunity to kind of challenge that and think about how we create warm and supportive environments, policies, and systems that really support the needs of each and every child. And I'll turn it over to Carrie as well.
The only thing I wanted to add was, as a parent of two special needs kids who, have a different way of learning and thinking, yeah, it is important to understand we're dealing with individuals who are neurodiverse, and it's important to adapt to all of their needs. And especially now with the COVID situation and having to switch to distance learning, having to teach in a very different way, it's still important to recognize the disabilities community and their needs as well.
Thank you, Carrie. Board members, do you have any comments, questions on this resolution? I just want to thank both of you, Maimona and Carrie, for bringing it forward, and I'm glad that for all the programs out there that address the needs of all of our students and very much our special education students. So we have to continue making sure that we do everything within our power to make sure that our students experience growth, and move forward in their lives to adult status. So again, as one who was involved in education for many years and sat on many IEP meetings, I know there's a wide spectrum of kids who are in this category, and let's hope hope for the best for all of our kids, and especially for our special ed students, that we return to normalcy, if not this year, by next year. So again, thank you very much for bringing the resolution forward.
Yeah,
So-
and George, I would like to say that I know that Maimona and Carrie and the rest of the board feels this way, but I'm hoping that the disability awareness is every day, not just 1 month.
Correct.
And I know this resolution is just to signify a symbol of a month, but it should be made every day. And I'm sure we all have relatives or know somebody that has experienced some type of disability.
Exactly. Very true. Thank you, Rudy, for those comments. Okay, so I will need a motion, a second, item 10.07.
To approve item 10.07, the resolution 2020-55 for Disability Awareness Month.
Second.
Okay, so we have a first and a second, item 10.07, and I'll do a roll call at this time. Carrie,
Aye.
Rudy,
Yes.
Maimona,
Aye.
Tan,
Aye.
and George, and I vote aye. So that resolution passes unanimously. Thank you once more for bringing that forward, Maimona and Carrie. Okay, let's go on to, we go on to item 7.03. Let's back up a little bit. And 7.03 dealt with the ratification to purchase access points for wireless internet service for students in the parking lots of 10 FMSD school sites. So, so that's what we're looking at this time. So that will be action item 10.08. Maimona, did you want to address that a little bit?
Yeah, I just had some follow-ups. I know this is a ratification, but I guess the clarification I wanted was on the access and the usage of these parking lot sites at this point in time. So is this a prior, situation? Or are we still having families and students actively access these parking lots?
I'm not sure that of the number that have accessed them recently. I do know that we purchased this and put them on our buses right as we were opening school, knowing that there were many of our students that currently did not have hotspots. So this was one other way to do that. Once we know that this is no longer needed, these units can be used.
Last week.
Okay, so Sam was telling me that they've already pulled them since haven't been widely used, but we will be able to use these for at our sites for access out in the open areas for classrooms that are wanting to go outside and use some of the open space. This will be used for that as well. So it won't be a waste from that standpoint.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you for clarifying that. That was my main question. So I'll move to approve. Oh, go ahead, George. Did you have?
Yeah, go ahead. No, yeah, item 10.08, that's the one you're approving. Go ahead.
Okay, so I move that we approve item 10.08, which was previously 7.03.
Second.
Okay, so we have a first and a second to approve item 10.08, action item, which was previously consent item 7.03. Let's do roll call. Carrie,
Aye.
Rudy,
Yes.
Maimona,
Aye.
and Tan,
Aye.
and George. And so I approve that also. So that passes unanimously. Let's go on to action item 10.09, which was previously consent item 8.06. Maimona, did you want to address that also? 8.06?
Yes, and again, I know this is a ratification. I just had some questions regarding this particular internet service provider. So I just wanted to clarify the amount of data allotment per month. Can you clarify what that is?
Let me just have Samer. He is here, so I'd rather have you hear from him than from me. So then he'll unmute himself. Normally, we go in. Oh, hold on.
So the data, it's unlimited data. There's no actual data allotment to with T-Mobile.
Okay, so the students won't hit like a capacity of a certain amount before it slows the speed?
So the way T-Mobile works, and it's actually quite a bit more impressive than the other vendors. After the first 22 gigs of LTE data, they have the right to slow it down if necessary, but they don't unless their network is fully used. If it's congested, they will not slow down the data.
Okay, and was that 2.0 that you had said?
Sorry, one more time.
Was that 2.0 gigs of data? Is that what you had said? I just want to make sure it was 20 and not 2.
Which part?
Did you say 20 gigs?
22 gigs.
Oh, 22. Okay, great. Yeah, I think that was the main thing. I wanted to make sure that as we're approaching these different vendors, it's absolutely important that students have access. But one of the things I know we're experiencing in a lot of classrooms, including my own, is a lot of times the data is not enough, or it's not strong enough to support distance learning. Zoom itself utilizes a lot of, uploading and downloading, that it actually needs, a higher level capacity. And so I just wanted to make sure that there was no, limits, and that service providers are working with us in terms of making sure if we have a contract or a deal with them, that whatever we're purchasing is at least able to support what we're trying to offer in terms of distance learning. So I hope that that's something we can just continue to take into account and assess as we, I know we with the city's partnership and with AT&T, but any other providers or any additional contracts that we go through, that we take that into account, because that's, as a teacher, I know that's one of the most frustrating things, is to have students continuously losing connection. And I know sometimes that's just like the geographic area, or some areas work better than others. But the other frustrating thing is if there are devices or hotspots that slow them down to a capacity where even if they're in a gallery view in Zoom, it's very difficult to hear them or to have them connect fully.
Yes, and so one of the things that we're also, I know that the carriers have said that their hotspots can support, quite a number of users. We've just taken the precaution that we're issuing one hotspot for every 3 students, so that, that's not an issue. So for families that have more than that, we've given them, 2 hotspots, so that they're not, limited that way.
Great. Are we keeping track of, in terms of data from specific providers and hotspots, in terms of connectivity issues?
In regards to usage or issues?
Usage, and also with connectivity, potential connectivity issues.
So as we get reports that they're having connection issues, one of the first things we ask is, what's the carrier that we gave them the hotspot, and so trying to figure out which carriers are better suited for certain areas, and then we can switch them out. I haven't heard of the hotspots completely failing from that standpoint, but that's part of why we wanted to have the 3 carriers, so that we had different options depending on where the students live, to maximize the connectivity.
Okay, thank you.
And then part of that is, as yesterday we were at a convening, and obviously the city and the county are looking for more permanent solutions, and trying to get families to some of the other carriers, like Comcast and those things, and certainly those are at a cost, but obviously a reduced cost. So part of this also came up in terms of the Eastside community project. And so I think part of this is knowing that this is not just for distance learning. It is something that as a community, we're going to need to find ways to continue to have families connected in one way or another. So looking forward for further discussion on that, and also working with the city and the county on some more permanent solutions to the issue of the digital divide.
Right. And in the meantime, just making sure that the service providers are providing the data, that actually supports distance learning, at the capacity. So even if it's at a reduced cost, that it should still be enough, bandwidth to support distance learning, especially with all of the Zoom usage and the synchronous and live minutes that we are required, and we're supporting students with that. Absolutely. In that way.
Thank you.
So I'll go ahead and move, I believe that was item 10.09. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Second.
So move to 10.09.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second item, action item 10.09, formerly consent item 8.06. So let's go ahead and do a roll call. Carrie?
Aye.
Rudy?
Yes.
Maimona?
Aye.
Khan?
Aye.
And George, and I vote aye. So that item passes unanimously. Okay, so that was our last action item. And so at this point, let's move on to item number 11, which deals with communications from superintendent. Mr. Cruz.
Yes, I'll just report that yesterday I facilitated a breakout session from the digital convening by the city, just outlining some of the services that are out there for closing the digital divide, and trying to have the city take, they're taking obviously a better role in terms of supporting this along with the county. And so there was just a general overview of the current work that is happening and the resources that are being made available. At which time, they did let me know that they're due to receive another shipment of hotspots, and that we would be getting a little bit over 1,000 of them as part of our request a couple of months ago. So with that, I feel confident that we'll be able to meet the needs of our kids in terms of the connectivity issues that we may face. And that's all I have to report.
Okay, thank you, Superintendent. Let's go to item number 12. Number 12 deals with communications from the Board of Education. And we go to item 12.01, board member reports. So I'll start with my roll call list here. Carrie?
Just something quick. I am going to be speaking at the Inclusion Collaborative conference this week. Tomorrow afternoon at 2:30. So
great.
That's all I have to report.
Thank you, Carrie. Rudy?
No report.
All right. Maimona?
I wanted to share I was able to attend the Windmill Springs virtual back to school night. And I now have an even deeper appreciation for just how tricky that is to navigate, because I had my own back to school night just before this board meeting started. And so just a huge thank you to all of our staff and teachers and parents and students, because this is, it's been a challenge, and there's things that come up, and sometimes it's just really overwhelming. There's a lot of trauma that a lot of our families have, a lot of our staff have, if you've gotten COVID, and just trying to provide all of the different types of support. So I truly have a deep appreciation for everyone's collaboration with that as well. I also was able to attend the CDAC meeting for special ed. And so there's a lot of discussion also on how distance learning is going specifically for our special education students. So a lot of hard work going into that as well, and providing the touch points with parents and students as well to make sure they're getting the supports they need. And the last thing I wanted to mention was the San Jose Public Library has announced that they have started through their San Jose Access program. They have started public checkouts through using your public library card. Community members can check out hotspots for internet connectivity, just like you would, checking out books. So there's ways to be able to pick that up from your local library. So I encourage any community member who needs internet connectivity for the variety of reasons that we need internet connectivity to check that out with the San Jose Public Library. That's all I have.
Thank you, Maimona. Okay, and we go to Tan at this time. Tan?
No report.
No report. Okay, thank you, Tan. And then just a couple of things. I helped out once more with the food drive at Laron School, and that's always a busy day, a very busy day when you have over 400 families picking up food, so you have to fill up the cars. But anyway, it's very very worthwhile. It goes from about 1 o'clock till about 4:30. You know that you're working out there, and then I am helping out the Thursday and Friday. They my former boss called me, so anyway, so she wants me to help out. They have a census questionnaires they're filling out, completing. You know, the 30th, September 30th is the last day of the census, and so we're going to be at a couple of schools on Thursday and Friday. And so I'll be helping Maya and her District 7 team, helping out count the those individuals that haven't been counted, and see we can't get those individuals counted because I'm sure there's many out there who haven't been counted. It's unfortunate because all that is lost money that we'll never get back. But all you can do is try your best, and that's what I'll be involved with on Thursday and Friday afternoons, you know, at those two schools. So anyway, so that's my report. And at this time, let's go on to item 12.02, agenda item requests. So board members, if you have any agenda item requests, you can bring them forward at this time.
Just an update, I guess, on how things are going with Catholic Charities and working with the parents and training them, how that's working out.
Okay. Any other agenda item requests, board members? Okay, if not, let's go on to item 13, future business. And from that, we go to 14, future meeting dates. So we have a board retreat on September 28th. That's a Monday at 5 p.m., correct? Where is that going to be, Superintendent? Are we going to meet at the
Media
board
Center?
It's not in Hawaii? I'm just kidding.
The media. It's a district office.
Remember, everybody, at the media center, okay? No remote. We'll be over there. Okay, and then item 14.02, we have our next meeting on October 27th. Then item 14.03, we only have one meeting in October, and then November 10th, we only have one meeting that month. And then we have one meeting in December 8th. So boy, how time flies. For some reason, I feel like time is moving much quicker now than previous years. I don't know why, but anyway, so that's those are the upcoming meetings. And so closed session, we're done with that. Adjournment, number 16, I'll need a motion, a second for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second for adjournment. Let's do a quick roll call on that. Carrie?
Aye.
Rudy?
Yes, and go A's.
Maimona?
Aye.
Tan?
Aye.
And then I also vote aye. And so that motion passes unanimously. And at this time, we are adjourned at approximately 8:25. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.